It's fine to just say, just post the ratings. But, like, it is another situation than pretending like Caitlin Clark doesn't exist.
The WNBA thought they could outshine Caitlin Clark, but the second she sat out, the numbers spoke louder than any protest shirt on that court. ESPN rushed to spin it, blasting headlines about historic ratings. But what they didn't tell you is that the viewership actually collapsed by over 1 million. They compared 2025 to 2023 like no one would notice, skipping over the 1 year that proves Caitlin Clark is the reason anyone's watching in the first place. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about one game. It's about a pattern, a cover-up, and a growing war between the league, the media, and the fans who see straight through it. Because when ESPN starts cherry-picking data and players start throwing shade at the one person bringing them record paydays, you've got to ask, what are they really trying to hide? And why are they so afraid of giving Caitlin Clark her credit? ESPN didn't lie. They just hoped you wouldn't look too close. The headlines were glowing. WNBA All-Star Game draws 2.2 million viewers, up 158% from 2023. Historic numbers, but one tiny problem. They left out 2024 entirely. Why? Because in 2024, Caitlin Clark played, and the game pulled in 3.4 million. That's not growth. That's a 36% drop. But ESPN didn't want you to see that. So they pulled the classic media trick compared to a weaker year and spin the jump like it's a win. It's manipulation dressed up as marketing. They used the 2024 numbers for the three-point contest, but conveniently switched to 2023 for the main event. Same weekend, same post, same spin. It's not a mistake, it's a strategy. And they know most people won't read the fine print. But Clark's fans, they caught it in seconds. And the internet blew up. Because when you're the face of the league and still get sidelined in the stats, something shady is going on. This isn't the first time ESPN played hide and seek with Caitlin Clark's impact. They've been doing it all year, like during March Madness 2025 when the network cherry-picked numbers in real time. They compared Sweet 16 and Elite 8 viewership to 2023. Sure, Caitlin was in both tournaments, so it seemed fair until they hit the Final Four and National Championship. That's when they went radio silent. No comparisons, no context, just vague praise like third highest ever. Sounds good, right? Until you realize the top two were 2023 and 2024, both starring Caitlin. So instead of showing that viewership dropped over 10 million without her, they just stopped comparing. It's not journalism, it's narrative control. They'll use her name when it benefits them, and when it doesn't, they erase her. But the numbers don't lie. Every time they skip the full truth, it just proves how desperate they are to downplay her dominance, and fans aren't buying it anymore. Caitlin Clark doesn't just boost ratings, she defines them. When she entered the league, she didn't just bring hype. She brought numbers that rewrote the record books. Her WNBA draft in 2024 pulled in 2.45 million viewers, the highest in league history. So what did ESPN do in 2025? They compared that year's draft to 2023 instead. Why skip 2024? Simple, because viewership dropped by 49%, and that headline would have killed their narrative. But it gets worse. Regular season games with Caitlin aren't just popular, they're cultural events. Her matchups against the Sky, Liberty, and Sun brought in 2.7 million, 2.2 million, and 1.7 million viewers respectively. Without her, those same games barely crack six figures. The league's dependency on her isn't speculation, it's math. Ticket prices crater when she's out, ratings collapse, merch doesn't move. Yet they still treat her like an inconvenient truth, instead of the reason the league is surviving. And the fans? They're done staying quiet. The second ESPN dropped that shady comparison to 2023, Clark's supporters lit up social media. They caught the game instantly. This wasn't just a spin, it was a full-on cover-up. And what happens when you try to bury the truth? The Streisand effect. The more they tried to hide Caitlin's impact, the louder it echoed across the internet. Fans started pulling receipts, posting charts, exposing inconsistencies, and demanding transparency. The very people ESPN and the WNBA should be thanking are now the ones they're gaslighting. And that never ends well. Because these aren't casual viewers, they're locked in, they're vocal, and they know when they're being played. The league could have embraced the truth and owned the drop. Instead, they doubled down on denial. And now, every attempt to downplay Caitlin only makes her look bigger and the league look weaker. Instead of embracing Caitlin Clark's popularity, the league and media turned against her fans. First, they were just loud. Then suddenly, they were called toxic, problematic, even dangerous. Players started blaming them for everything: bad vibes, hate speech, even racism. The narrative flipped from "thank you for watching" to "you're ruining the league." One commentator even claimed Caitlin's fans don't support Paige Bueckers because she speaks on social justice, as if cheering for one player means you're morally bankrupt. Then came the All-Star draft drama. People were furious Caitlin didn't pick Angel Reese, like it was her job to keep the internet calm. And let's not forget the Phoenix Mercury posting a thinly veiled shot at Indianapolis, subtly implying it wasn't a safe city for players, all while hosting the most attended WNBA event of the year. It's absurd. Instead of thanking the millions of new fans who bought in, they're busy alienating them one headline at a time. Then came All-Star Weekend, and without Caitlin Clark on the court, the league had a decision to make: step up or get exposed. From the start, the cracks showed. Players showed up in protest shirts reading "Pay us what you owe us," using the spotlight to demand higher pay, which would have landed if the game hadn't turned into an absolute disaster. Fans called it the worst All-Star performance in history. Sloppy, low energy, zero competitiveness. And right when they needed unity most, Kelsey Plum took the mic and torched the moment. In Caitlin's home city of Indianapolis, she called out Team Clark for skipping a pregame meeting about the protest shirts, turning what should have been a league celebration into a personal dig. The crowd wasn't laughing, neither were fans. What was supposed to unite the league ended with the most popular player thrown under the bus. And the backlash? Immediate. Online. Relentless. And justified. ESPN could have calmed the storm, but instead they poured gasoline on it. Rather than admit the drop from last year's 3.4 million to this year's 2.2 million viewers, they shouted "historic viewership" and compared the numbers to 2023, completely skipping the Caitlin Clark year like it never happened. But fans aren't stupid, they saw the trick and called it out instantly. And here's the real damage. By pretending a 36% drop is a win, ESPN didn't protect the league, they embarrassed it. Because anyone paying attention knows the truth. If Caitlin had actually played, not just sat on the bench, we're not talking 2.2 million, we're talking 4 million easy. So this wasn't just a 36% drop, it was a 50% loss in potential viewership. But instead of facing that, ESPN gaslit the audience and hoped the numbers would go unnoticed. They didn't. And now the league looks desperate, the players look petty, and the fans feel lied to. Behind all the smoke and mirrors, the league's owners know exactly what's happening. They don't care about Twitter, drama, or media spin, they care about numbers. And the numbers scream one thing: this league runs on Caitlin Clark. When she's out, ticket prices don't dip, they collapse. Some drop by 48% overnight. Ratings vanish. Merch sales stall. And with a massive CBA negotiation looming, players are demanding more money, which they should, but they're biting the hand that's feeding those demands. The media rights deal everyone's banking on? It's fueled by Caitlin, not Asia, not Sabrina, not Kelsey Caitlin. She's the engine. And yet, the players keep pretending they're all equal draws, when the data says otherwise. Instead of uniting around her, they're side-eyeing her success and torching the fans who brought the cash. It's self-sabotage disguised as pride, and the people footing the bill are watching it all go up in flames. The truth is undeniable. Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA is breaking records, getting mainstream attention, and negotiating bigger paychecks. Even when she doesn't play, the numbers shift because of her presence alone. That All-Star game? Second most watched ever. Why? Because people thought she'd play. Imagine if she had, but instead of thanking the fans she brought, instead of celebrating the growth she sparked, the league chose ego over honesty. The media chose spin over facts, and the players chose division over unity. It didn't have to be this way. All they had to do was admit it. The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and it's helping everyone. But the more they deny it, the more obvious it becomes. This league doesn't need to fight her. It needs to follow her lead. because the longer they try to downplay what she's doing, the more they prove that without her, none of this is possible.